Okay, welcome back to the Hotshot build. Hopefully we get a bit more done in this video than we did in the last video. So you would have, if you did watch the last video, you would have seen we got the rear gearbox built complete. It is running a little bit tight, but I'm hoping that'll free up over time. I mean, it's not like we don't have spare Hotshot gearboxes laying around. Okay, so as I'm blabbing away, I'm just uh-oh, it's like squeezing a zit, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just going to assemble these gears. So today is September the 6th, Saturday. Tomorrow is Father's Day. So depending when you actually see this video, I'm guessing it's going to be well after Father's Day, but happy Father's Day to you fathers here in Australia. Whether it was today, whether it was yesterday, whether it was a couple of days ago. Hope you enjoyed the day and got spoilt rotten by your kids or kid. So, another gearbox to assemble. So all the same, basically, as the rear differential. That bit's the same anyway. So get your input shaft. On the rear, I tend to call it an output shaft, but on the front I call it an input shaft because, well, your power is being delivered from the rear to the front in it. So we'll just do what it's told. Kind of lining up 400 holes at the same time. There we go. And again, we can just checking which grease they want. We can spin that with our finger and apply the grease on that bevel gear. These gearboxes tend to go together pretty quick once you've done a few of them. Having said that, you still got to be careful and make sure you are reading the instructions. Because no matter how many of these gearboxes, or any other gearboxes really, you've assembled, it is very easy to get complacent and forget parts. So do make sure you read the plan. So we got our bevel gear there. We'll chuck some more. No, they want the molybdenum grease again. So that's what we're going to do. I've got a little bit on the bench there. So that's it for that half of the gearbox. The other half, we want another bearing and a drive cup. Now I'll show you a different trick with this center pin. Actually, before I forget, I'm going to grease up that hole because instructions are telling you to install that pin as you're assembling the transmission. You don't really have to. I mean, you do have to. Yeah, see what I mean? Perfect example. There I am, just talking away. I almost forgot to put that C-clip on. It's amazing how fast and easily mistakes like that can happen. Then you get to the end of the step, look down in your parts tray and you've got an E-clip sitting there and you go, where did that come from? So, that is rectified. Some black grease. I'm just going to start calling this black grease because molybdenum gets a bit heavy on the old tongue after a while. As I'm sure all grease does. So, differential, grease up that spigot, and we can grease up these teeth. That bull gear. So, which shaft do we want? MR5, which is the long one, and this change gear here. should have gone on before that differential gear. And there's a trick for beginners. Now we have to try and get that out without getting grease everywhere. Just rest that there for a sec. While we're at it, let's put in this other bevel gear. Grease this up first. It's going to be a bit difficult. I'm going to grease this one up. Probably the one gear you kind of have to hold while you're greasing it up. I guess instead of saying molybdenum or black grease, I can just call it molly grease, can't I? Same thing. Yeah, our gears, now I've already greased up that bevel gear on the inside, and I've done it again, or have I? Yes, I nearly did it again. This plastic part here, this B7, goes in the end of that bevel gear there to support it when it goes into the housing. So there we go, that's our two gear halves. Now you'll notice I didn't put that pin in. Don't panic, I didn't forget. Right, now I need some screws. So this little piece here has to sit a specific way, because that's a threaded hole there, and that is actually a mount for your front bumper. So a 3x27. Oops. So once again, this is going to be just put in loosely. A little M3 flange nut. Loosely, because we need to pull this gearbox apart a tiny bit, like we did on the front, so that we can slide that red piece in there. So now we're free to start installing screws. 3x12, and again I forgot to grease up the holes. So not doing anything up tight just yet. Waiting till we get all the screws in. Now this one I never liked because it's a machine screw, self-tapping into plastic. Never did like that idea. Ow. Make sure you stab yourself in the finger with the screwdriver. Very important. So another 3x12 and another one down here. Make sure you stab yourself in your other finger again. Okay, all our screws are in. We can go ahead and tighten everything up. Then we can start assembling the rear suspension. So that is our front gearbox. Feels nice and smooth, a lot smoother than the rear. Yeah, that'll loosen up. That'll be fine. So, rear suspension. These holes here, you would have seen. Actually, I forgot. This pin can be installed after everything has been assembled, just like that. And that just saves it falling out all over the place as you're assembling that gearbox. I nearly forgot about that. I just saw it out the corner of my eye. So these arms, one goes that way, one goes that way. Now we have these ball connectors that need to thread into these holes. Now the last few that I've done, they didn't want to screw in. And also watching Adam's playground. Here he is. Here you are, Adam. There's your sticker, mate. Adam had the same problem. A few other people had the same problem. They just do not want to screw in. All they want to do is just tear up that plastic and pull it out. Did it with the boomerang, and it did it with the big wig. I ended up having to do this trick, but I also had to use some super glue just to make sure that they weren't going to come out. So my trick People do this a different way, so work out your way of doing it. So these are an M3 machine screw, okay? I have an M3 tap, and my other set I have a 2.5 millimeter drill, and I have a drill. It's a 2.5 drill because the M3 tap has 0.5 of a millimeter thread pitch. So I'm going to very carefully try and just, because see, look, this hole here is a blind hole, okay? It doesn't go straight through the other side. Now your tap, unless you modified one, the thread, where are you? There you go. Focus. The threads aren't fully formed all the way to the end of the tap, okay? And you want your threads all the way through this hole. So I just come in and as straight as possible, just drill out that last bit of that hole. And I swap the drill out, the tap. Now this does take a bit of practice as well, but you get there in the end. Very slowly, you notice I change that back to the slowest speed, and using the trigger control, just very carefully make sure you go in far enough so that you're getting fully formed threads all the way through that hole. Pretty much all the way to the end of the thread on the tap. Back it out. Take your tools away when you're done. Make sure you get a mouthful of plastic. Very important. So now these ball connectors, look, just with my fingers, just screw in just like they're supposed to. There's no fighting, there's no pushing, there's no stripping out threads. You can still strip it out if you do this up too tight, but basically once it stops, that's it. So that is my tip. I understand not everybody's going to have an M3 tap laying around in their back pocket or whatever. You can do it with just a standard M3 screw. Find a long one, and I'd still try and drill it out 2.5 mil all the way through. But you can get away with just an M3 screw and just cut your own thread using that M3 screw. But an M3 tap is cheap. I mean, that Sutton set wasn't cheap, but I think I bought an M2 tap and drill set off eBay a while ago, and I think it was less than $10, or somewhere around there. So not very expensive for potentially hours of heartache and trying to fix threads. So I'm missing some, oh no, there they are. And Zach has kindly allowed me to put these rods together. That's nice of it. So we got a couple of rod ends, we got a couple of these, and then some rods like this, they have a hex in the end of it, and we get to use Pete's shock pliers here to hold that shaft. Might put it in a 3 mil. Then we can screw these ends on. I think I'm going to get step 11 done, and I'm going to call it a day on that video. On this video, I should say. And what I guess, that's pretty well spot on 18 mil there. You can go by this drawing. You can use your vernier calipers if you want. You can use a steel rule if you want. But all they are is just uprights for the sway bar, anti-roll bar, or whatever you want to call it. So the lengths I don't think are all that critical on these parts anyway. Okay, so that's our uprights for our sway bar. Now this ball connector, just sit it in on its side, press it in. Don't try and press it in straight like that. I mean, you'll probably do it, but it can be difficult. So on its side like this, oh, where are you? Here, come back. On its side like that, and just push. Ball straight in. Nice and easy, nice and simple. So on the boomerang and the big wig, these ball ends here were for the shock mounts. On this kit, they are for the sway bar, because we have this unique monoshock front for this kit. Front, rear. Well, it's on the front too, I guess, but the actual way it works is very unique. So that's those two arms. We have, are these symmetrical? Or I should say identical. They look like it. There's no marks on the inside saying a left or a right. Oh, so they should be the same. Throw some bearings in a drive cup. Obviously we don't need grease, but we will need grease in here. Now I've explained this many times, why I grease up the hole that the shaft is going into. Oh, you can't explain this without sounding filthy. Okay, so mind out of the gutter. You might have to give it a bit of a push to start it off. Okay, so these screw pins, sorry about that. These screw pins have a tiny little portion of thread just on the end there, and that's what engages into the plastic itself. Now, once that's done up tight, you watch this. I'll rotate this hub carrier, this upright, and the screw doesn't move. The screw is locked inside that arm there. Okay, you watch. Now I'll move the arm. You can see the screw moving with the arm. Okay, so there is absolutely no need whatsoever to grease the entire pin so that the pin gets grease on it when it's inside the black portion. The only place the pin rotates is inside the red part. So that's why I just grease up the hole in the red part, so that when your pin passes through, it picks up on that grease and pushes it all the way through the hole, and eventually ends up going to exactly where it needs to be. Again, no mess, no fuss. You can just see a little bit of grease on my finger there where it got squeezed out the other end there. You can maybe see. Maybe not. So, that's my tip for greasing up pins that need to go through holes. A lot of people, well, it actually tells you to grease the pin up before you put it in. I hate doing that. You just end up with grease everywhere. And when you push the pin in through the hole, all the grease gathers up outside of the hole that doesn't need grease. So you can't be 100% certain that grease is getting into the pivot point where it needs to be. Alright, so that's those arms done. Now we need these arms that I thought I didn't need before, which are actually the arms that I need to fix, well, two of them anyway, to fix the old Hotshot. We have. So we need our rear differential. And those bushes keep threatening to fall out. So we need that. We need our arms. They're going to go under here thusly. And we need his BC7, which is that part there. And that's just going to sit in there like that for now. So we might as well do both arms. These are pivot points for your rear suspension setup, which you will see in the next video, because once I get this done, it's going to be goodbye from me and goodbye from him. So these screw pins, which ones do I want? Just a whole bunch of them in there. There's 3x32s. So them short ones there. Okay, so once these pins are in, they are going to screw into the arm itself. So the arm doesn't need grease where the pin goes. The grease needs to be inside the body like that. Now you can grease up that hole a tiny bit. That's not for your rotational lubrication. That's just lubrication for the screw thread to get started. And it really does help sometimes. And you'll find your screw just slides straight in. Just remember to stop when the screw stops. So once this is done, we can install our lower arms and our dog bones. Same thing again with the grease. You only need to grease up the hole in the transmission body, your long screw pins. Yeah, we might grease up the hole for the thread. It really does make things a lot easier. So this suspension setup is what sets this car apart from all of your other Hotshot family, and your other four-wheel drive cars, even your two-wheel drive cars. The suspension setup is just so unique on this car. And from memory, I think it actually works. And I made a boo-boo. We have no drive shaft in there. And the car's not going to go very far, is it? I don't know if you can see, but since that screw has been inside, there is grease all over that screw now. And all I did was put that tiny little bit of grease at the start of the hole. So you know that grease has gone all the way through the hole and is exactly where it needs to be. So a little bit of grease on this one, just to lube the thread. That's going to keep falling out, so just leave it out for now. See what happens when you're just talking and not concentrating? I'll put that entire arm on, back to front, upside down, inside out. Did any of you catch on that? Yeah, while I was doing it? You could have said something. Right. Drive shaft, dog bone, whatever you want to call it. It does say to grease these up, but I don't like doing it. Especially on a runner. You might think, well, a runner is where you'd want to grease up your dog bones, isn't it? Oh, yes and no. See, grease is sticky. And it attracts dust. So you end up with dust getting into your drive hubs and your drive shafts. And if you're not like some people and meticulously clean the car after every run, that dust is going to build up inside the grease and eventually become a grinding paste. which is just going to wear your parts out, which nobody enjoys. So that's why I don't grease up the hubs. If anything, if you want any kind of lubrication in there, you can probably get in there with some WD-40 or something like that. But I've never, ever had an issue with doing it the way we do it. And it's not like we run these cars every day either. So that is our rear suspension arms complete. In the next video, we are going to get onto the front steering and suspension arms and start banging everything onto the chassis. So thanks for watching, thanks for your support. Happy Father's Day and have a good one. See ya.